All right, so pitch presentations. Yay, part one, because we have a fair amount. So we want to give everyone ample time to do their pitches. So today we'll do about like five. So yeah, let's get started. Rah, no need to beat around the bush. Let's just get started. All right. What stands to be lost? Are y'all ready to pitch?
All right. Hello, everybody. This is our repitch for What Stands to Be Lost. We pitched it last time, but the idea has evolved a lot since then. So we're going to go over what's changed, how much progress we've made, what we're looking for this time around. Um, this time I made the slides with all backgrounds from the trip that inspired this game. But to start out, I think I'll pitch the setting for the game, and then Charlotte can talk about uh, the Idlewild part of the game. So the game is set in the year 2175, and in that future, automation has taken over every job, and AI is about as good as you can imagine it. So just by the will of your thumb on a remote, you can generate any game or video or movie that you want. And so, as you might imagine, life has become something like living in a two-room apartment with a bedroom, a TV, and a bathroom. That's all you need. But of course, not everybody is down for that kind of life. And so some, particularly the older ones, and some of the younger people too, run away. In California, there's one town called Idlewild where people who want to rebel against the technology, have gathered. And that is where our story starts. If Charlotte wants to take it away.
Yeah, so basically our game is going to start in this town where in this world of technology, this town has basically none. And the reason for that is because there's a group of people who run this town called the Hunters who basically enforce this law of there being no technology. And throughout the game, there are going to be kind of two parts of the story. There's a top layer of the story and also a memory layer. And essentially, in the top layer, that's like when you're actually playing through the game. But as you talk to people, you can kind of explore their memories through kind of like playable cutscenes. Um, but essentially, the story goes is one of your you play as John and Sadie, but a friend goes missing, and the villagers in this town seem to be hiding things. So you're trying to discover lost information using contraband technology, but you have to keep it hidden that you're using this technology because it's not allowed. And you also need to befriend the villagers to learn their secrets and find out what had happened to your friend. Uh, and then when you're talking to the different villagers and stuff, you can what they remember through their eyes by playing through their cutscenes and such. And then the game kind of is a lot more complicated as you start getting into it because something goes wrong in the town, and then you and the rest of the townspeople have to deal with that while you're also still trying to solve the mystery of where your missing friend has gone. I think
Okay, that's
that's mostly what we've got for the story. It's obviously a lot more than that. We have 21 or 22 NPCs at this point that are, but yeah, that's the story. But there's a lot more to it. But most of it is like a mystery, so we're not gonna tell you everything. You get to learn more if you actually join our game.
Yep, that's the tip of the iceberg. Uh, the next slide, I can talk about what the gameplay looks like, what it's like to play the game. So the main setting of the game, we're calling it kind of the top layer, is Idlewild, California. And there you play through this day-night cycle, kind of Stardew Valley-ish, where the characters have schedules and jobs that they go and do. And you can learn their schedules and figure out where to go to talk to them at different times. And when you talk to them, there are dialogue options that definitely matter because it's a mystery, and your choices in that mystery affect who is accused and what happens to them and what you know. So a lot of the game is about trying to find the truth, while some people are trying to hide it for sure. There's an inventory system for things like keys, flashlights, phones, um, anything else that we think of that we need to have, the kinds of things that you might get after doing a quest or after talking to someone. Um, there are quests that you can go on. The game will have a little bit of stealth to it because, of course, in a mystery setting, when everyone's being a little shady, you don't want to be caught looking into their information. And you can interrogate people if you have an accusation to make against them. And the last point I put on this slide is about the memory system, where you can dive into people's memories and basically play through the descriptions of what happened to figure out what happened in the past and how a certain character died, or other characters died too, maybe.
Not to rush y'all, but we do have a limited time per group. So if you
Okay,
could-
we will speed through
Thank you.
the programming stuff, which is the next slides. This is you can just kind of click until the last giant thing on the side shows up. Yep, here we go. This is our team. I'll speed, okay. On the left, we have everybody in the studio at the moment. I'm Evan, hello. I'm kind of leading the studio, doing the direction there. I'm programming, I'm doing some writing. Charlotte, I guess you can say what you're doing.
Also, I'm Nick. I'm going to be doing a lot of the programming and a little bit of the 3D art.
Yeah.
I'm Charlotte. I do a lot of the writing. I'm also helping out with doing voice acting stuff.
Yep, kind of co-creative designer. Nathan is our composer. Ian is my brother. He's doing concept art for artists in case they don't want to do the concept art themselves. On the right, we have the list of all of the voice actors. It's a lot. It's kind of crazy, but we can move on for time. Okay, let's click one more time, and a GIF will show up. On the programming side of things, this is our player controller. I made it myself. I'm speedrunning this a lot, but we have FOV animations. The crouch animation is kind of smooth. It looks kind of laggy right now on the stream, but if it was smoother, you could see how it kind of bounces up and down. And it's very modular, so it can be modified for any character that has this character controller, which will be all of them. Next slide will be a new GIF. This is the system for swapping perspectives. The game has the system where you play as different characters when you control them in the memories. So you might be looking through different people's eyes. You can use this to swap between perspectives and control anybody in the game, and it doesn't have to snap smoothly like that. It can also just teleport. It's just one function that does it all. Next GIF. This is our AI movement system. Got that working. I don't need to spend a lot of time on that. We can keep moving. Pathfinding works. This is the menu system. This is what I spent the most amount of time on so far. Of course, all of this is temporary visuals, but the point is that it works. We have a settings menu. Right now you can see me restoring the defaults for video settings, which makes the FOV reset, but also even in the editor, it saves the data. So field of view will, or any other setting, will save through different playthroughs, which works now, so we know how that works. We can add any settings very easily. Next GIF. This GIF shows two systems in one. I just kind of put them together for testing purposes. The first is the input prompt system. That is where it says test input Q plus E. It shows you the buttons you're currently pressing, and then it'll send an execution when it's done. It can swap between controller and keyboard as soon as it detects input from the other one, and it can be any chain of buttons imaginable, or just one button, or any text. Visuals, obviously temporary. And then you see it prompting subtitles. There's an audio that plays with that, but it's a GIF, so obviously you can't hear it. But that's a test of the audio voice line system, where it gets the subtitles from a spreadsheet that is imported, and all it needs to take in is a file name. Next slide. This is the code for that. I wanted to show off this code snippet specifically because of how simple it is. This is Unreal Engine Blueprint. The white nodes are the most important part here. Those are the macros that are basically just running all of the code to make that input prompt that you just saw happen, and the one on the right makes the voice line happen. And it just takes those inputs, and makes it as simple as possible so we can repeat that code anywhere we want to spawn an input prompt or a memory voice line and get the execution to continue after it happens. Next one.
Hey,
For time's sake,
sorry.
I
So
can
sorry,
skip this.
y'all. Yeah, we're kind of getting short on time, so if you don't mind kind of skipping through your next two slides.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're skipping this one. We're looking for 3D artists. This is the reason we're doing this presentation. We are looking for basically 2 artists to make it as brief as possible. The inspiration for art that we're looking at is on the left. Those are 2 games that have basically the point is the shapes and colors and lighting is what makes the style. Um, Textures are very minimal. On the right is a concept art of the most basic character there is. He's intentionally bland, but the point of showing that off is that the characters don't have faces. We're saving time in animations. If you join as a 3D artist, you'll have some say over art direction, so it's a very creative role. I can keep going. Hello, Nick.
All right, thank you guys. I'm gonna try to speed through this because we are running short of time. But first, for the art goals, the first thing is just we want to develop the art style. So that basically just means for people who join the team later on or working on it right now, we want to know what the art style will look like for the future, and they should be able to make artwork as it goes. Since this is predominantly a a 3D game, most of the artwork is going to be 3D models, looking to set up hopefully a general rig for making animations, but also just designing the characters at all. As for coding, since the memories are such a core part of a lot of the gameplay, how you unfold a lot of the story, that is going to be what we're working on mainly for the programming side here. We want to make a skeleton, basically the framework for creating memories, a lot easier. And so the goal is to just be able to create a test scene and it has everything that a memory should have. So part of that is going to be the audio controller. I saw, Evan, you already mentioned the NPC controller for the pathing. It's already complete. It's just that we want NPCs to be scriptable, basically. So they can do whatever we want in the game. But the audio controller, that's for us as programmers. We want to set it up so that we can basically control how loud certain things are in the game. So, for example, music should be quieter when players are talking, stuff like that. And last but not least, just the ability to climb and sit. Those are completely separate, but they are movement options that are available to the player. And we will be working on that this semester. And did you want to list out the story goals, Evan?
Low-key, we can skip that because we're looking for artists. They don't need to know that. So we can go to the last slide. I think the last point I want to make is that we're all crazy on this team, and we actually are shooting for a Steam release, which is ridiculous, but we're doing it. It's kind of a bigger project. All the information for contacting us is there. There's my Discord. There's the name of the pitch in case you forget, and there's a Discord server that we use in case you're interested as an artist. And that's all we got. Thank you.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the next pitch. Oh, what? Whose pitch is that? That's crazy. What are you doing? All right.
This is a pretty good presentation.
Yeah, that's all I got. Sorry. Punches you.
Oh, there's actually a thing here. Let's go.
All right. So, hello everyone. So this is my pitch, the Sixth Sun. Preemptively, anyone who makes a 6-7 joke is going to get their soul taken out and put into the game, so don't even try it. Next slide. All right, so what is the Sixth Sun? So it's a fast-paced, wave-based, first-person shooter where you play as a robot warrior fighting for the Aztec gods to protect the sun from the forces of the moon. Okay, but like, what does that even mean? So basically, some historical context. The Aztecs and other related cultures, their creation myth included the concept of 5 suns. So it's the idea that it's a belief that the world has undergone 5 cycles of creation and destruction, with the current era being the 5th. In each era, a different god became the sun, and would eventually destroy the current civilization of their era. There's a lot more to it. That's kind of a huge oversimplification, but it's kind of the general idea of what the myth is. Next slide. All right, I'm not going to read all this, but basically, how original. Another story where AI kind of taken over the world, and then all war has been replaced with AI. The gods don't really like that, so they kind of destroy the world. So now you got to help them protect the sun. Basically, we can expand upon this in like the actual pitch, but all right. So this is a very self-indulgent game. I don't know if you can tell. A lot of movement shooters inspiration. So like you're paying to Square, whatever. Ultra Kill, Titanfall 2. Some elements from like Doom. I haven't played a lot of Doom games, but I like Doom 2016, so I'm stealing from that one. And maybe if we can get to our stretch goals, some elements of like roguelike, roguelite, whatever, Risk of Rain 2, stuff like that. Next slide. So for story slash visuals inspiration, once again, Ultra Kill, uh, copying their homework a little bit. And then Stray, the cat robot game, really good game. Everyone should play it. But that was a big inspiration for me. And then obviously Aztec mythology. Not Maya, that's just the picture I found, but mostly Aztec, like Nawa mythology. Next slide. All right, programming progress, sorry. This is a little bit of an overwhelming slide, but basically we've got a state machine set up with like walking, some jumping with additional features like wall climbing, like a ledge grapple grab thing. It's a little hard to see here. And coyote time, just so the jump feels at least a little bit more satisfying. It needs a little bit of work. It doesn't feel the best right now, but we've also got sliding, big Trepang 2 inspiration. That's mostly where I got that, and like stamina for that, and also like a cloak sprinting kind of thing. Honestly, it's a little hard to tell with the stream, but we've got something going here. We got something good going here. All right, next slide. Yeah, sorry, a little overstimulating. Have some more overstimulation. All right, art progress. Just a character design for the main character. That's it. I'm not the best artist, but yeah, if you join this team, I would really appreciate some good art. So, all right, next slide. All right, music inspiration. So, a big part of this pitch is music, and it would be really great to get a musician on the team. If that doesn't work, it's all right. But yeah, I think music is a pretty big part of this game's identity, and just the way that it feels. I think it would kind of suck to play a game like this in complete silence. But yeah, so if you do become a musician for this team, I will let you know about any music inspiration. Yeah, if they're not working, it's alright. Next slide, by the way. Damn. Alright. No, the pit! It's fine. Okay. Minimum viable product. So what is it? So basically, player controller, kind of already have that. It'd be nice to have two weapons. So I kind of lied when I said this is a shooter. It really isn't. It wouldn't really make sense for you to have a gun. It's like the Aztecs, they didn't have that. But I'm thinking like a sword, like an Aztec sword. I forgot to put a picture here, but look it up. Google is free. And like a bow of arrows, and then also sliding and dodging, which we already have the sliding. I had dodging, but I didn't include it in the slides because I hated it. It felt bad. So it's not there, but we'll add it. Stamina, health, and death, stuff like that. You know, stuff that should be in a game. One enemy would be nice. If we can actually have it have AI, that would be awesome. But even just like a dummy to hit works too. That's a wave system if you do get enemies. So as waves increase, enemies, there's more of them, or they have better AI, something like that. Main menu, and like a really, really basic saving feature, really just like what's your personal best. And one song, that would be so awesome. It would be so cool. Next slide. Yeah, well, this is all hinging on, availability. I don't know about y'all. I'm getting kind of cooked this semester, so we'll have to see. But if we do get that done, I do have a kind of laundry list of stretch goals that would be really nice. Kind of like a glory kill type healing mechanic. It's not the Aztecs without, ripping out some hearts. So, and then like a randomized like roguelike kind of thing where it's like every wave you can get like either a boon or a curse, and you choose whether or not you want to take it. An item shop, so you can like get points from playing, and like you can upgrade like your current stats and your abilities. Parry and shielding. Come on, come on. That it's you gotta add parry. Come on. Expanding on the lore would also be nice. Kind of just fleshing out the world of this like universe, because I think like a cyberpunk Aztec thing would be just a really cool setting. And just like any other like movement things that sound interesting, like wall running or stuff of that nature. Next slide. And if we expand upon the lore, could get some Yuri in there. You never know. We'll see. All right, software. Come on, you already know. It's Godot engine. Yeah, so Scream if you love Godot, and then GitHub, Blender for like any 3D assets we might have if we get to that. And just like art program, whatever you want to use. Use your finger on like uh your phone, whatever works. It's up to you. All right, roles needed. Loki, everyone. Programmers would be really helpful, especially since for like AI, I don't have a ton of experience with it, but it would be a huge help. 2D artists, just for like, what's the word? UI and just like title screen art. That would be really nice. Same with 3D artists. I'm not super sure about like how the visual style will look, so we're gonna have to see whether it's like 2D, 3D, or mostly just 3D. Musicians, oh my god, it would be so awesome to have a musician on this team. Again, this game would low-key kind of suck without music, so a musician would be really appreciated. And writers, if you want to expand upon the lore, that's not the biggest thing in the world, but it would be cool. And just anyone who's like into these kind of games and knows what feels good would be really nice just to get, a good game out of this. Next. All right, what do we hope to learn? I'm kind of going for a long time. I'll skip through this, but basically delegating, project organization, enemy AI programming, because I've never done it, a more realistic MVP just because a little busy right now, and just having fun and being ourselves. All right, thank you so much. So that's the link for joining the server, and if you have any questions, just feel free to DM me on Discord. And that is all.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pitch for Arcana Hearts. This is GDC Spring 2026. I'm your host, Nick, and let's get to it. All right. So, next slide, sorry. Okay, so a bit of an overview, the genre of the game. What kind of genre is Arcana Hearts? Just based off a name like that, it's probably a Yuri dating sim. But actually, no, it's actually pretty close. It's going to be a fighting game. I've been kind of lying to the board about what kind of game this is actually going to be. It's meant to be a story game. It's meant to have like an overarching story and a world to explore. And ultimately, I wanted to have a really, really, really well-developed combat system. So for the sake of this first pitch, we're just going to treat it like it's a fighting game and go from there. So as for the actual setting and plot, it takes place in a magical fantasy kingdom. I won't go into too much detail because of the story, but there's basically a system known as Arcana. There's 24 different elements for people to utilize, and the main character is able to use all 24 of them when most people can only do one. For the engine, it's going to be set in Unreal Engine 5. I'm gonna miss you, Unity, but I want to use Unreal Engine's blueprint system. If you guys have used Unreal Engine before, you might be wondering, is this a 2D or a 3D game? It's actually going to be a 2D game. Unreal does have native 2D support, so we're going to be doing that. I have it set up and everything. But yeah, next slide, please. So for the MVP checklist, the game will have a unique combat system that will be part of the MVP, just because if it doesn't, then it's not actually our fighting game. I'll go into more detail on that on the next slide, but we're going to keep it simple here. We just want to make sure that there are 2 playable characters, and you should be able to have a fight with them. So that means a lot of different things. Obviously, like it's more complicated than that. We're going to be having like the character's movement, animation controller, and hitbox controller, which is going to be tied together because that is quite standard for fighting games. We have a state machine for making sure we can keep track of what's going on with the players. And then last but not least, an input reader. All of this should be in the MVP just so we can get those 2 characters fighting. Next slide. All right, so the combat system, what exactly is it going to be about? It's about this concept in games called a clash. And so even if you don't play fighting games, you might know what this is. It's basically when 2 moves hit each other at exactly the same time. And most fighting games, that's usually not the actual focus of the game. It's usually just like one of those things where you're like, it happens, your characters will stumble backwards, and you'll kind of just be like, oh, that was cool. And then you just keep fighting it. So the idea behind Arcana Hearts is that we want to make this particular combat, this like exchange, we want to make it more common. It's going to be like the center of the entire fighting game. So it's going to be a game that's all about clashing. And so there are ways to make it more common. I came up with 3 ideas, and hopefully we can implement them by the end of this semester. But first of all, it's going to be a priority system. So most fighting games, when you hit each other at the same time, most games opt for a trade where you both take damage and you stagger. But in this game, it's going to say, hey, that was going to be registered as a clash. The next one would be clashing specific hitboxes. For those of you who don't know what a hitbox is, a hitbox is what hits the hurt box, and then the hurt box, when it gets hit, you get hurt. So specifically for this game, I wanted to make a clashing specific hitbox. This is because the reason clashes are so uncommon in fighting games in the first place is just because the hitboxes don't last very long, and they're also usually not that big. So a clashing specific hitbox will be both bigger and last longer, but it can only hit another clashing hitbox. So basically, if it could actually hit the player, that would be really OP. It wouldn't really feel like a fighting game anymore. But this hitbox will be just for clashing specifically. And oh, sorry, can I? This is a little bit of a concept. Can we go? Yeah, I'll go into it. So the next is just the posture system, which is totally not ripped off of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, but it's basically to incentivize players to go for those clashes more often. So as you keep going and you keep exchanging, basically what happens is your characters start to feel the pressure, and then you kind of start to stumble and stagger. So on the next slide, I actually do have the concept art. It's oh, can I get the next slide, please?
You have 4 minutes.
Yep, good. Yeah, so it's a little bit rudimentary, but you can see here we have like the stagger bar. The characters are like fighting each other, and then you see when the stagger builds up. I would like it if the game could like freeze frame at this moment and then like zoom in and have like this huge explosion, kind of just symbolize like the climax of the clash. And this is kind of what players are going to be working towards. Next slide. Right, so here I'm just gonna show off some of the characters. Since I don't have a lot of time, I'm not gonna go into their story. But I just wanted to, this is not supposed to be like an OC dump or anything. This is just what the 5 characters are going to be looking like. I don't have any 2 selected in particular, but I wanna have 2 of them in the MVP. So we'll start with the first character on the next slide. So this is going to be like a mage type character. She's actually the main character. It's not like the other 4 aren't the main characters. It's just that she's the most main characterist out of all of them. And she is actually quite unlikely to be in the MVP because her playstyle is if any of you have ever played Dota 2, there is a character called Invoker, and everybody has like 3 or 4 moves. They have like their Q, W, E, and R. And he has like 30 different moves because he basically mixes and matches all of the elements. And so this is kind of the idea behind this character. Again, unlikely to be in the MVP, but this is a main character. For the next slide, this character, actually, I do really want to be in the MVP. He's basically, he's supposed to be like the heavyweight character. And the reason I want him in the MVP is because I think he's a really, the heavyweights in fighting games tend to get like the short end of the stick. But for this game in particular, I do think that a heavyweight works great. He would have like big, heavy swings that build up a ton of posture when you hit your enemy. And then also, because he can easily defend himself with big attacks, he can clash a lot better. And I just think he slots really well into the game. So for the next slide, I have this character, which is basically going to be like the infamous gunner type. And in fighting games, people tend to hate the character with the gun. But this one I also thought would be very good for the MVP, because her combat style is not overly complicated. She basically just does a bunch of like kicks and she shoots you and whatnot. And I think this character would just be really fun to animate. Next slide. This actually, I don't have a lot of drawings of this character, but for this character, he would basically represent the stance character in a fighting game. So he'd have access to a lot of really powerful moves. If you guys know like the stereotypical like anime where they like put their sword in the sheath and then they throw it out and it just does like a million slashes. So the way that's balanced around this game would just be that, he has to enter the stance first, so his options are limited from there. And then also the time it takes him to enter slows him down a little bit. And then last, I have the last character. Next slide. This character, for this character is also unlikely to be in the MVP, but it basically will be like a rogue type. She'll throw out a bunch of different items like poison, bombs, smoke bombs, like fan and knives, stuff like that. And that is basically the idea behind this character. Again, just because of the nature of this character, I think this one's going to be unlikely for the MVP, but we'll decide on that later on. I'll just try to finish up the presentation here. So could I get the last 2 slides? For here, I need the same thing about as much as everybody, but mainly looking for artists and programmers. I will make a side note here. Really looking for voice actors, because I can obviously only voice 2 out of the 5 main characters, or 3 out of them. I don't plan to voice anyone. But also, before my time ends, I'll say sound designers. If you have like any metallic objects, please just contact me, and then let's make some sound effects. The clashing is supposed to be a huge part of this game. And then for music designer, I think that if I don't know anything about making music, so if you would like to be the music designer for this game, you would have creative control completely. And then this one we can kind of skip, but just the stretch goal is to just finish all 5 characters and then also turn it into Metroidvania. And yeah, that's about it. Sorry for taking a lot of time, but thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to join the Discord, contact me on Discord. Currently, there's absolutely nothing on the Discord, but feel free to just hop in and maybe like share some ideas. I'll work on that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hope to see you this semester.
All right. All right, go ahead.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Marco, and this is our game pitch for Kitan, an original but not really game of resource management and strategy. Next slide. So, here in Game Development Nightmares, we are going to look into this case study about this current game development group and why they're doing so poorly right now. They're not actually. So let's look at the background of the game pitch. Let's see what's going on in the kitchen. So this kitchen contains lots of cats, Catan inspiration, Kingdom Rush tower defense inspiration, or just any other tower defense game, and Yowie and Yuri. Oh my goodness, that is a lot going on in the back. So this is our game Catan, which is combining the elements of Catan, the board game, and your favorite tower defense game. This game will challenge players to strategize their resource management while defending against the waves of the undead. So what idiots are managing this game? Obviously me, Marco, and Jake, who is right across from me right now. Jake, say something. Hello. Okay, he said something. And also we have our amazing staff. We got Holden, Willie, Harper, Cole. Oh my gosh, I'm going fast. Lucia, Jacob, Kimberly. Wait, no, there was one more. But I think it's too late. It's okay. You can move on. So let's fix and build a better game. So for the story, long ago, a young king saved the catdom from a great evil and sealed it away in a box, securing it in the deepest parts of the kingdom. Decades later, a silly little apprentice accidentally opens the box, which releases the necromancer to rain his revenge on the whole catdom. Down here, we have the king and the necromancer fighting, and also some concept art from Lucia about them. So for a gameplay concept, we wanted to have elements of Catan where it was like resource management, such as gaining sheep, wood, wheat, brick, and using them to either build defenses or build more resources, which in turn you can upgrade your defenses to fend off later waves. Here we are, we have some gameplay from our previous game pitch and MVP. As you can tell, we already have like a complete game with at least our MVP from last semester was fulfilled, and we have a lot of stuff implemented, but obviously we continue to improve on this game, but this is the gameplay that we have currently.
5 minutes.
Gotcha. So for inspirations, obviously the gameplay is going to be based off Catan, the board game, and Kingdom Rush. And our art style is supposed to be some sort of pixel art style that's similar to either Stardew Valley, Undertale. And for the story, we have a similar to Kingdom Rush with like some sort of necromancer and also heated rivalry. If you understand the lore, join our pitch to learn more about that. So for MVP, we're going to be using Get Godot as our game engine, and we're going to overhaul the level with hexagon grids, and we're going to try to create multiple levels. So we already have a bit of the hexagon grid over here, and we're going to make it so they're interactable, and it kind of has more of that Catan feel of the board game. And we also wanted to make more tower variants and upgrades, specifically on R2, and having them have specific and unique abilities. So for our stretch goal, we wanted to have a endless game mode, something like at the end of like BTD6, kind of like a free play mode. We were also thinking of a roguelike mode for that endless game mode, maybe every 5 waves, so you can have some sort of effect that either buffs enemies or buffs yourself. We wanted to have more music and sound design. We are kind of lacking in that department currently. And we're also thinking about targeting options. So if I could target, so for example, like towers can target enemies with higher HP, etc. And obviously we want to have more levels for the campaign. So who do we need to cook with? We need sound designers, obviously, artists, and programmers. And everybody who is not a part of that is still welcome to join. We would love people who would also love to write for our game or just contribute or hang out with us. And thank you. You can message me, MLJ, at Discord, or too long of a name. That's Jake on Discord, or you can scan the QR code to join our Kitan pitch. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
All right, sounds great. Now get off my stage.
Hello, can you hear me?
All right, go ahead.
All right, awesome. I'll be very quick. So this is a repitch of Dollars of Derinkuyu by me in Unreal Engine 5. So next slide. This is the story so far. I'm just going to skim through. You're an archaeologist and your colleague goes missing. He was lost in the underground city of Derinkuyu, which is a real city in Turkey. And you have to find him by following the trail he left behind. And so as you go deeper into the city, the mysteries of why your friend went missing in the city start to unravel. Next slide. This game's going to be made in Unreal Engine 5. It's a first-person game with a pretty simple gameplay loop. The main enemy will be revealed to the player early on, and then the options that you have when you encounter the enemy is to run, hide, and distract, and some other elements will be in the game as well, such as like picking up notes from your missing colleague and some puzzle elements as well. Next slide. This is a very... Okay, well, that's fine. It's on the presentation if anyone wants to have a look after. I don't want to have to make you sign in. Just like a video showing progress of everything we've done, everything I've done the last 2 pitches. So next slide. Inspiration for this game is the actual ancient city, which was a city in Turkey which held up to 20,000 inhabitants. I think it's a perfect setting for a horror game. You know, I originally said this in a fictional cave in like the Appalachian Mountains, but I didn't think that was very unique, so I thought this would be a better setting. Next slide. Some inspiration is Outlast. You know, the feeling of dread, not being able to fight back against the antagonist was a big inspiration. Next slide. The Descent movie about you know, these group of friends descending into a cave. Like, I really want to take inspiration from the creatures who adapted to the living conditions of the cave as the monster. Next slide. I basically need everyone like everyone else. I've been doing this by myself the last 2 semesters, but literally anyone would be nice. Writers, concept artists, 3D modelers. I'm switching it to low poly because I'm not a good artist, and realistic art is not my niche. So yeah, just anyone would be great. Next slide. The MVP. I've done a lot of stuff already, but the MVP that's in progress now is just one small cave environment with the enemy and the player, and an AI searching mechanic for the enemy to try and find and kill the player. Everything else is pretty much done. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening. And there's one more slide just with my contact info if you're interested. It would be great if literally anyone wants to pitch in this time around. Thank you.
Yeah, so you know the drill. This will be available at the end of the meeting, the sign-in sheet. The sign-in sheet. The sign-in sheet. But no, there we go. There's the sign-in sheet. Yeah, so if you missed it, it's right there, and we'll also post it at the end of the meeting. And then you'll be able to join pitches on Friday, so wait out for that. And part 2 of the pitches, the last 6, or maybe even 7, will be at
Friday. On Friday, usual workshop room, building 6, room 113, I believe. So if you're pitching, please be there or on Discord. And if you can't make it, just let a board member know. But other than that, you are all free to go.